Hello, scholars. This is Tanya Wilcox, Program Director at TheDream.Us. Thank you for joining us this evening or this afternoon, depending where you are in the country. We are going to wait 1 or 2 minutes to give other folks the time to join into the webinar. Sometimes there are technical difficulties or things like that. So we'll start in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, if you can see on your screen that there is a question that we have for you, that you can start using your chat box, your chat feature to give us the answer, to chat in the name of your favorite teacher and why they were your favorite teacher. So let's do that for a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. So start using your chat box. While we wait, I can read something here from Erin from TFA. She's welcoming everybody. So hi, Maria Jerez and Marina Hernandez and Miriam Ortiz. Thank you for joining us today. And Zaira Solis, Lisbeth, Khaled, Gabriela, happy to have you joining us. Go ahead and tell us who your favorite teacher was or why in the chat box. Sadana saying Dr. I don't know if it's Piland or Pyland, but for gender studies. And well, I can tell you my favorite teacher was my teacher who in 7th grade taught me how to speak English, because when I came to this country, I didn't speak a word of English, and it was my ESL teacher. She made a huge impact. And Miriam Ortiz is telling us that Mrs. Marra, because she really cared about each of the students and their future success. And then we see from Caroline, this is my calculus teacher in high school. He took the time. Okay, we'll just give everybody 1 more minute to join. And Gabriela saying her algebra teacher in high school because she was so patient and knowledgeable. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? This is almost 8:05. So again, thank you, everyone. Here's a picture of me when I was much younger than I am today, but I still look good. And I want to thank Teach for America for joining us this evening to tell us about their fabulous opportunities for those who are interested in education and public policy and making an impact in the world. And TFA, for the past over 20 years, have really been one of the leading nonprofits in the country, helping young people go into education or go into public policy and really make a difference. So thank you for joining us this evening. Today, scholars, you're going to hear about how you can become involved with Teach for America, either through their opportunities that they offer undergraduates, or how you can get a job as a fellow working at one of the schools around the country with Teach for America. They're also a fabulous organization because Jose Gonzalez from Teach for America, who supports Daca fellows, will talk about why they hire Daca students and why they and how they support Daca students in their professional career after they leave college. So I want to welcome Jose We also have joining Erin Marimoto, who is one of the recruiters for Teach for America, and Maria Rivera, who is a fellow with TFA, but she is also a TheDream.Us scholar who graduated a couple of years ago from college and now has been working for TFA for a few years now. And lastly, but definitely not last, we have Sadhana, who is one of our graduates and works obviously for TheDream.Us, who you all know, and she's also helping us run this webinar. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Erin to start telling you about TFA and the opportunities they have for you.
Yes, actually, hi all. I'm going to share my time with my colleague Jose as our Senior Managing Director of Daca Initiatives. I will be in the chat, however, and I'm looking to hopefully help you out in that capacity.
Thanks, Erin. Hello, everyone. As Tanya just shared, my name is Jose Gonzalez, and I am the Senior Managing Director for the Daca Initiative at Teach for America. Actually, as of very recently, this is my third week in the role. I'll share just very briefly that I am a Daca recipient myself, and I did the core in 2014 in Los Angeles, and will dig a little bit deeper into a little bit of my background and context and what brings me to this work right before we get to the Q&A. But I am really excited to have you all here today to dig into the opportunities that we have for you all available at Teach for America. So just quick overview of our agenda for today. I'll be sharing a little bit about what Teach for America is and how you can be involved, as well as the Daca Initiative specific work. I'll share a little bit about my story, and Maria will share a little bit about her story. And she was in your shoes not that long ago as a Dream.Us scholar, and I'm super excited for you all to be able to hear from her and talk about next steps and where this work can lead you. So at Teach for America, our mission statement, right, says that one day all children will be able to attain an excellent education in this country. And in order for us to be able to do that, we truly believe that we need to redefine what is possible, right? What is possible for students of color, what is possible for students from low income communities, what is possible from students from immigrant communities as well. And if that resonates with you, right, you're someone who envisions a more equitable future and opportunity for all and not just a select few. You have a bold ambition to make an impact in this country and in this world, and you're ready to be part of something big in this huge movement toward educational equity in the US. Now, we firmly believe, as this quote states, that we cannot make good decisions from a distance. If you are not proximate, you cannot change the world, right? So currently there in our landscape, and we've seen over the course of our history, people with decision-making power who have no proximity to students in the communities that we serve, making decisions that impact those students. So whether you plan on being a career educator, or whether you are thinking about education policy or public policy more generally, law, health, medicine, really any career in the private sector as well, we know that it'll take a broad and diverse coalition of folks all working toward this mission of ending educational inequity in this country. But we cannot do that without having proximity to that work. And that's where our 2-year commitment to teaching, a minimum of a 2-year commitment to teaching in a low income community stems from. So as I just said, it'll take this broad and diverse coalition, right? We recruit folks from hundreds of colleges and universities across the country. We firmly believe that it is important for our core membership and our alumni base to represent the communities that we serve. So as you can see here, 1 in 3 of our core members are the first in their families to graduate from college. Nearly 50% of our core members identify as people of color, and we know, and the research shows, the huge power that comes with that diversity in our classrooms. Now, with our alumni base, here are just some initial numbers that show the huge impact both inside the classroom. As we can see, are nearly 14,000 alumni teachers still teaching in the classroom today, but also folks in elected office, social entrepreneurs, school and system leaders, folks working in policy advocacy and organizing spaces. And this is our broader Teach for America community, but within this, we also have two folks who are Forbes 30 Under 30 honorees in the Teach for America Daca community specifically, which is huge given that we are still a relatively small portion of our overall community, and that the Daca initiative has only been around for 6 years at Teach for America. So that brings me to Teach for America specifically. Since 2013, Teach for America has opened membership to the core to Daca recipients. And you can see here that as the immigrant community at large is diverse, so too at Teach for America is the Daca community very diverse. We have folks coming from countries of origin all over the world. We have folks now teaching in 24 regions of our 51 Teach for America regions across the country, making an impact in the lives of their students and families and communities in which they serve. And this is incredibly, incredibly important and powerful work that is happening across all of our regions, and particularly within the 24 that take our documented core members into the classroom. Now you might be asking yourself, in terms of this specific identity marker, what supports Teach for America offers Daca core members. So here I've outlined just a few of the supports that we have to offer, starting with legal. So we have a partner, our outside counsel, who processes our Daca renewal and adjustment of status petitions for core members if they choose to go through our outside counsel, right? We also understand that folks sometimes already have attorneys representing them who they know and have built a relationship with, and we completely understand that. We also have financial support that takes the form of paying the $495 renewal fee for a Daca renewal for example. There's also some funds allocated to adjustment of status petitions if our core members become eligible to adjust their status during the time in the core. For folks who are transitioning or relocating in order to join Teach for America, there is also transitional funding available in the form of grants and loans. And the big one here really is the Teach for America Education Award that our core members earn at the end of each of their years of service. And for that award, that totals about $6,000 per year. That can be used for educational purposes. For example, if you're going through a certification program in your region, you can use the TFA Ed Award at the end of your first year of service to cover those expenses. If you're a traditionally trained teacher already certified and don't have to go through a certification program in your region, you can use your TFA Ed Award for undergraduate loans or for future educational expenses if you decide to pursue a degree in the future. We have, in addition to our legal and financial supports, also some programmatic supports. We train all of our incoming core members, regardless of whether they're Daca recipients or not, on supporting undocumented students, right? Because we firmly believe that every educator that is in front of students should be equipped with the tools that they need to be able to support all students, including our immigrant students. There's an immigration and education convening that is a really powerful space that happens every summer, where we invite our core members and alums to an all expenses paid conference where folks get to be in community, develop professionally and personally in a space where everyone is an immigrant, right? And everyone shares this identity marker, and you don't have to explain your experiences and your background to folks. So that's a really, really powerful space. And there's also regional support. Every single one of the regions that is open to DACA recipients at Teach for America has a liaison that is based in the region for additional support for our folks. And then the last bucket of supports that I want to highlight here is our advocacy work. So as the Senior Managing Director of the Daca Initiative, I also oversee the advocacy work happening across multiple levels in the US, right? A few examples that I want to highlight and opportunities that our core members and alums have been able to engage in include the three that you see on your screen. We launched a DACA advisory board that is, the membership is open to our core members and alums, and they get to serve in a consultancy capacity to the person leading the DACA initiative, who is now me. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have been following DACA litigation, right? And the November 12th hearing coming up at the Supreme Court. So one of the first projects that I took on and that I'm really proud to have worked on as we were bringing it together in the last few weeks was an amicus brief in support of DACA that we filed at the Supreme Court in at the end of last week. And I can share the link to our press release and the amicus brief that also profiles a lot of the work and impact that our community members at Teach for America have had in their classrooms and on this country. And then lastly, we've also been able to sponsor our DACA advisory board members in the past to come to Washington, D.C. for meetings with members of Congress, right, in advocating for and lobbying for a permanent solution for our immigrant students and families. And this is kind of a broad strokes overview of the supports that we offer through the DACA initiative and our regions to folks who become a part of the Teach for America DACA community. And now we're going to, now that I've thrown a lot of information out there, we're going to share a little bit about our stories. I'm going to share first, and then I'm really excited to hear from your fellow Dream.Us scholar as well afterward. But what I'll share here is what drives me to do this work. And what you see on your screen is just kind of my career trajectory so far, starting with my undergraduate degree. But all of this is possible because my parents made a huge sacrifice when I was very young to leave everything and everyone they knew and loved behind in Mexico to come to the US in pursuit of their idea of what the American dream was. So for context, my maternal grandmother is 94 years old, lives in Mexico still, and never went to school. So to this day, she does not know how to read or write. And my mom and my dad were both able to get through a 6th grade formal education before they had to leave for financial reasons and to support their families. But it is very, very important it was very important to them when I was born and then when they had my siblings that we were able to access more than they've been able to. So they made this decision, and I actually ended up going to business school in Philadelphia, and I thought that my business degree was going to land me a job on Wall Street. And that was going to be my family's ticket out of poverty. And then I learned about Teach for America. And at that time, the Daca initiative was brand new. And I reflected a lot on my own experience going through the K through 12 public education system as an undocumented student and the challenges that that presented for me. So I actually turned down a job in finance to join the Corps, and that has shaped the rest of my career. But I'm really excited to now, after having taught in LA for 4 years and having coached other teachers through Teach for America, now serving in this role that I find incredibly humbling, and I'm incredibly proud to lead the work of the Daca initiative forward, alongside and in support of my community, which includes Maria, and I'm super excited for you all to hear about her experience and her perspective through her lens. So I will kick it off to Maria to share a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose. Hi, everyone. So it's Maria, and I grew up in California. I am the middle child of 4, and I grew up with a single mom. So when I graduated from high school, the idea of going off to college was nothing but just an idea. And as much as I wanted to, we could never afford it. So I went to a community college. And then after that, I was sponsored by TheDream.Us, where I went to Cal San Bernardino, and I majored in literature. After that, I spent about a year not knowing what I wanted to do or what I could do because of my status. And it wasn't until just randomly I stumbled upon Teach for America, and I applied in March. And soon after that, I got an interview. Soon after that, I was accepted. And then in May of the same year, I moved to Vegas, where I currently am. This is my 2nd year in the classroom. And the reason why I decided to go through with Teach for America is because the idea of having that goal of every single child having an excellent education was very appealing to me. It is because of TheDream.Us that I was able to get that excellent education despite my background. So now to be put in a place and to be a teacher in the classroom, and I could provide that excellent education for other kids, regardless of similarities, that to me is life coming full circle. Am I going to stay in the classroom and be a career teacher? I don't know that yet. What I do know is that my work with Teach for America has been life-changing, not only financially, but also just academically and as a human and as a person. I can really go back and see myself a few years ago to where I am now and who I am now, and it's completely different. And I like myself better because of my experience and because of the work that I do with my students and my community every day. If there's something that I'm really excited is to continue exploring my role as an advocate and a resource for my students and their families. Recently, I was appointed as co-chair of student activities and family engagement. So to be able to bring family members into our school has been something that I'm really, really enjoying. So whether or not I stay in the classroom, that is advocacy and community outreach is something that I'm trying to get into and I'm really enjoying. So I am really excited for you to know more about Teach for America. And although it took me a year to find out about it, it really did change my life.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, thank you for sharing a little bit of your background and your story with us, Maria. And now we would like to open up for questions. If anything that either Maria or myself have shared so far has sparked any questions, that we can help answer, that would be really great. We have the next 10 minutes or so to answer any questions as they come up before we close out with some next steps and where this work can lead you if you choose to explore this path.
Hey all, this is Erin. I'm on staff with Teach for America as well. I've been the one in the chat. You can go ahead and chat in any questions that you have for Jose or Maria, or you can come off mute like I am just now. While I give y'all some time to think about your questions, Jose and Maria, I'm curious to know, in particular, how has your documented identity, do you feel like, how has that shaped who you were to your students?
Maria, do you want me to take that one?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was in undergrad, for the first year and a half that I was 3,000 miles away from home, I was just constantly afraid, right? And this was pre-Daca. And for most of my life, right, especially the first part of it, I saw this identity marker as a source of shame and a source of resentment. But through my experiences in founding an immigrant rights organization on my college campus and then becoming immersed in the immigrant rights community in Philadelphia, I did learn to be unafraid, and I learned to see the beauty and the strength in my family and myself and in my community. And I wanted to make sure that when I was in the classroom, that is what I was highlighting for my students as well. So everyone is on a different journey and pathway and trajectory in terms of what this identity marker means to them. And I 100% fully respect folks being in different places in that journey. But I felt very strongly that for me, in my classroom, my students should know that I was undocumented, and for me to work with community partners and bringing your rights workshops to my students and their families, bringing pro bono or low bono legal services, in working with my staff, the other teachers at my school, and training them on supporting undocumented students as well, and sharing my story to put a face to the numbers, right? Which is often what we see. We hear numbers and we hear policy, but we often see also that the humanity is disregarded. And I wanted my students to be grounded in their humanity, in my humanity, and in our collective humanity for their education.
Thanks so much, Jose. Maria, we have a question for you in the chat from Camilla. Camilla asks, Maria, how did you go from California to Vegas? Did it require you to save extra money, or was it hard to switch over to Vegas?
For me, I was very lucky that I grew up about 5 hours from where I currently am. So the move wasn't as drastic, and the climate, everything looks the same. So that wasn't much of a shock. Financially, my family were the ones that helped me transition. But I do know Jose just mentioned that there is a transitional fund that you can apply for. Because of my family, I did not need it, and they were the ones who helped me move. I think your experience of moving away depends on your personality and your needs as a human. So I am a very independent person, and I do not mind being alone or away from my family. I love them, but I do not mind that space. So for me, that was not difficult at all. I know that sounds kind of mean, but it wasn't. So it really depends on who you are, what you need, and your personality, really.
Thanks, Maria. We have a question from Sheila. Jose, this might be best position for you to answer. Sheila asks or says, I'm graduating with a business degree in May and will be pursuing a teaching certification in Miami, which should take me about a year. Are there any job/internship opportunities I could take advantage of during that year?
Yes, and actually the slides after the Q&A will dig into that a little bit more, but we do have internship opportunities available both during the summer at our summer training programs across the country. And in addition to that, with many of the universities that we partner with and recruit from across the country as well, there are part-time internships available for you to dig into the Teach for America world and that community a little bit more to understand our mission and our work and what folks, how folks move through the program continuum at Teach for America and their experiences as core members and alums.
Thanks, Jose. Nellie, I see your question in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it there because I think I can give you a link. We have another question from Marina. Marina is clarifying, so not all states receive Daca core members. How does the internship opportunities work?
Yeah, so the big difference here, right, between the core and internship opportunities. In an internship opportunity, Teach for America is the employer, and for our core members, Teach for America is not the employer. So Maria, for example, she is the employee of her school in her school district. So they pay her salary, they provide her benefits. We provide programmatic support and a lot of the supports that you saw in an earlier slide. But for our core members, we are not their employers. So the reason that Teach for America only has 24 of our 51 Daca regions open to Daca recipients is because we want to ensure a multitude of things, right? That our university partners, our regional partners, that legislatively core members would be able to teach in those states and in those regions, and that we have those strong partnerships. So all of those factors are taken into consideration when opening up a new Daca region. And right now, the 24 that you saw in an earlier slide are the ones that are open based on our best assessment of the landscape in those regions.
Great, thanks, Jose. I think actually some of the other questions we just received are likely related to some of the slides you have in a bit. So if that's okay with you all, let's pivot maybe to the next section. And for those of you in the chats, feel free to keep on chatting in your questions, especially if you feel like your questions are not yet answered for Jose's next section.
Sounds great. So now that you have all of this information and this context, what comes next, right? So we have an online application process with 5 deadlines. The first deadline passed in September. Our next deadline is coming up at the end of next week. One thing that I'll note here for one of the questions earlier around someone pursuing a teaching certification in Miami next year is that you can actually pursue a teaching certificate while in the core. And the vast majority of our core members actually do that, right? So they don't have a teaching certificate before joining the core. Through the online application process, if you're invited to an interview, you'll complete a pre-interview activity and then move through the process either with an in-person or virtual interview. Then you'll research and select your regional preferences. So you'll have access to that list of 24 regions that we place Daca core members in, and then our team will make a final admission decision and reach out to you with your decision and notification. You'll teach in one of the 24 regions that is currently open to DACA core members. You'll earn a full salary and benefits for that is equivalent to what teachers make in your respective region or in your placement region. Again, I'll highlight here that Teach for America is not the employer. The employer is the school that you work for. You do get a host of benefits as well from Teach for America, including the Teach for America Education Award and need-based funding for relocating and transition. So to go back to one of the earlier questions also around the difficulty in relocating. So I went to Philadelphia for undergrad, and then I got admitted into the core in Los Angeles. And at that time, there were only 10 regions that were open to DACA recipients. So I was making a move from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, and I got enough funding in the form of grants and loans to cover that relocation expense, and made it a much, much smoother transition that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to financially afford. Once you're admitted into the core and you decide to accept your offer, here is the trajectory that you can expect to go through. So you'll go through a summer training program. You'll have access to coaching, professional development, and other resources during the core, both from your region and also from my national team as a constituent of the DACA initiative. You'll have access to our university partner in your region that will, if you don't have a teaching certificate already, get you certified, and also in our regions have the opportunity to pursue a master's degree. So I, for example, was able to earn a master's degree from Loyola Marymount University in LA, who is a partner university there. And Maria, I believe you're on track to earn a master's degree as well.
Correct, at UNLV, yep.
So this is a broad overview of that member experience during the core in your 2 years. Now, some of you might be freshmen or sophomores and therefore not eligible to apply to the core yet. So here are just a few ways that you can get involved even before you're eligible to apply, right? So we mentioned some paid internships, both during the summer and throughout the school year. There are fellowships and leadership development opportunities with TFA. There's a ton of professional development opportunities as well. There are opportunities for you to volunteer. There are opportunities for you to go to events on many of the university and college campuses throughout the country. And there are just many, many ways that you can get involved even before you're eligible to apply if you're still not a junior or senior. A couple of other things that I will highlight is that we also have a number of all expenses paid experiences available to folks even before they're eligible to apply. So there's a big conference that happens called RISE that is open to, Erin, correct me if I'm wrong, but sophomores and juniors, where folks get to come together and learn more about our work and where they fit in given their leadership trajectory. The core experience is open to folks from all majors, all colleges, all universities, all backgrounds across the country. So even if you are unsure whether being a career teacher is the pathway for you, but you know that education advocacy is a space that you want to be a part of, this is a great way to gain that proximity and that experience to inform your career trajectory moving forward within and then beyond your core experience. And then I'll just highlight here this link that you can visit that has all of that outlines in more detail some of our experiences, including a spring break impact experience, for you to immerse yourself in the work even before you're eligible to apply. And lastly, I'll just share again that our next deadline is coming up October 18th. So that's next Friday. And that is our second of 5 deadlines. So I encourage you to think about redefining your future, right? And redefining also what is possible for all students in the communities that we serve across the country. And with that, I will kick it back to Tanya to close us out.
Hi, everybody. I think there might be more questions, Erin. Are there any other questions or?
I believe we got to most of them. We do
Okay.
have 3 minutes. So if Tanya, you wanted to open it up for additional questions, by all means, please feel free to do so.
Okay. So just first of all, thank you so much, Teach for America, for providing this information to our scholars. And I'm just going to start my video so you guys can see me. And to scholars. So basically, to summarize, if you are sophomores or juniors, you have internship opportunities or year-round opportunities with Teach for America. And if you are a senior, you can apply to be a core member, which means you would be a full-time teacher at a district school in somewhere in the United States. Now, if you are a junior, you can also apply to be a full-time teacher after you graduate. So it's kind of, they have an early admissions or early hiring, if you will. So if you're a junior, if you apply this year, you could be accepted for Teach for America even before your senior year. So you'll know you'll have a job eventually when you graduate. So what I really encourage you is to go to the Teach for America website and research all the opportunities that they offer you, and then apply to the ones that make sense to you given the requirements that they have. So that's just like a little summary for you. Go to their website, learn more about it, see what you can be eligible for. And if they have questions, Erin, is there a person that they can contact for questions?
A great question, Tanya. So I think what we're working on right now is that Excel doc that you had shared with us regarding schools scholars are at. For all of you on the phone, basically, if you're a college senior or even a college junior, the best way to get attention from our specific recruiters would be to actually register for the core member application. Registering does not mean you submitted an application to be a core member. It just means you started. And normally what will happen is our recruiters will try to work through that registrant list. However, because Teach for America is a partner with TheDream.Us, we've also set up a special, if you will, way of communication and support for all the Dream.Us scholars who are interested in Teach for America's core member opportunity. So Tanya, to answer your question, we will be assigning a recruiter to all of the respective schools you named. And then what we'll probably do is we can find a way for you to maybe share that recruiter's information with interested scholars. And that way we're keeping everyone hopefully feeling as protected as possible. And it'll be up to the scholars to decide how they would like to engage.
And even though there's this application deadline coming up in October that you saw in the PowerPoint, know that if you miss that deadline for whatever reason, there's another deadline in December, I believe. So you can decide to kind of skip this deadline because it's coming up very soon and apply for the December deadline. And that will be okay. Obviously, TFA would like to see you apply early, but it's fine if you apply in the December deadline. And we will also be sending you emails and communications over the next couple of months or weeks to remind you that the deadlines are coming up, and with links so that you can research more internship and job opportunities with Teach for America. And I think that's it. I I see that in the chat, there's more information, more links that are being given to you by the team at TFA. And with that, thank you for joining us today. Apply, apply, apply. You never know what if you're going to be accepted or not. And unless you apply, you'll never find out. So we encourage you to learn, research, apply, and stay in touch with us. Let us know if you apply for a TFA position. We want to know what our scholars are up to and what opportunities they're availing themselves with. And have a good evening, everybody. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Maria. And thank you, Jose, for spending this evening with our scholars. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.